Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to check, can you all hear me at the back? Yeah, that's fine. Excellent. You can see the waving of hands. My name is Kelvin. I'm the chairman for the Chartered Institute of Marketing for the East of England and also the Small Business Ambassador. Today's event is actually part, for the first time, of a national campaign by the Chartered Institute of Marketing, previously known as Small Business Week, with the brand line of Think Big, Act Small. And it's a delight to bring so many true expert speakers here today in order to share their advice, not only about the best way to go about marketing to generate a good return on investment, but also in order to achieve lifetime value for your business. And Russ will be talking about actually how he capitalised on that by selling his business for a significant amount of money. And he himself is a marketer. So I'd like to thank the Chartered Institute of Marketing Committee for Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire for all their efforts in bringing this event together. This is the third or fourth year that we've done this, and we do organise a number of events across the East of England as well. So if I could ask all members of the committee for the East of England and Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire just to stand up, who are here today, just to make yourself known. And let's just give them a round of applause. Well done. They're a voluntary group of dedicated marketers who want to give back to the profession. And therefore, if there is anyone in the audience today who would like to become part of the Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire CIM team, please let myself or one of the volunteers who stood up know. So just some basic health and safety instructions. There is no planned fire alarms today, so if you do hear the bell, and it's the real thing, the exits, as you can see, are behind you for the fire exits, please exit calmly but swiftly. In terms of facilities, right next to the CIM registration desk where you picked up your badge, you will find that there's a ladies' and gents' toilets. In terms of some of you requesting somewhere to put your coats, then there is an area that is being created for people to be able to put their coats safely. And if you go to the University of Hertfordshire stand, then they can manage that for you, which Lynn has organised. We do value your feedback. In fact, this event wouldn't be growing year on year if we didn't get feedback from you. So please complete the evaluation forms and hand them in at the end. And that will ensure that next year's event is even better than this year's. And this year's, by the way, not only have we got more people, but it's going to be tough to beat because we got 4.8 out of 5 for customer satisfaction last year. So it's going to be a challenge. Please ensure your mobile phones are switched to silent. And please also use the Twitter hashtag. All of you can get internet access from the CIM registration desk if you haven't done so already via Wi-Fi. And the hashtag for this event is #CIMSmallBiz15. I hope you have an enjoyable experience today, and I'm sure you will with our first speaker. It's a real pleasure for me to introduce you to Professor Nigel Culkin. Professor Culkin is President of the Institute for Small Business and Entrepreneurship. He won just recently actually the National Enterprise Educator Award. He's the founding director of a group for research on innovation and enterprise. And in addition to that, he's not only an academic, he is a practitioner. He sits as a non-exec director on a number of boards of private companies, as well as social enterprises, and advises them. And I know they find his advice very useful because one of those companies I've been involved with previously. So, Professor Culkin. So looking at those cars on the overhead reminds me of what Henry Ford once said, which relates to what Nigel has been talking about in terms of if you think you can or if you think you can't, you're probably right. And finding small businesses who are ambitious to growth with a good attitude towards risk is one of the challenges that Growth Accelerator and Grant Thornton, who won the Business Innovation Skills contract, have had. It was encouraging to hear from Nigel about the importance of small businesses in terms of job creation, and that there's now a Minister for Small Firms sitting on the Cabinet. I'd encourage you to not only go to the University of Hertfordshire stand to find out more information about HELP, their way to help local small businesses, but I have purposely, as part of the Small Business Charter, spoke to most of the organisations involved and invited them here today because they offer an amazing service to small businesses and all that you can benefit from, and that includes the Chamber of Commerce, UK Trade and Investment are here today. We've got Wenter, fantastic for business startup advice, but also for renting office space of amazing value. You've got Grant Thornton, who covering the Growth Accelerator contract, and we'll share a little bit more about that within Hertfordshire and the London area, and also the Growth Hub and the Federation of Small Business. It's a real privilege to have Darren Lewis with us today. Grant Thornton have supported this event over the last couple of years. And Darren is the Business Growth Manager at Grant Thornton, a top 5 advisory firm, and he'll tell you about the work that they're doing with small and medium-sized companies. And then I'll introduce you to Russ, one of the people who work with Grant Thornton and Darren, and he'll tell his story. So Darren, if I could ask you to come forward. Okay, thank you, Darren. I'd now like to introduce Russ Nathan. Darren introduced Russ to us, the Chartered Institute of Marketing, as a speaker who can share his success story on how he did what he did as a small business, talking about ambition to grow as well as managing risk. So Russ previously had a successful SME. He hasn't given up on SMEs or given up on work either, although he could have retired a long time ago. He's got the enthusiasm and energy to share his knowledge and experience with growth-minded SMEs, and is a mentor to a number of small and medium-sized companies. From starting and growing his own small business, he grew it and developed it to flotation on the AIM market of London, and then the business at a later stage was sold. He's a strategist with a keen eye for marketing positioning, competitive analysis, and technology licensing. I'd like to put your hands together for Russ. Thank you. In a moment we will be breaking for coffee, and I'd like to encourage everyone here to have a look when you go out, if it's relevant, at the Grant Thornton exhibition stand and the other small business support services that are here today. Just to reiterate, you'll have, as well as the University of Hertfordshire in the HELP programme, you've got the Chamber of Commerce, UK Trade and Investment, who will be talking later, Wenter, particularly for business startups and for offices, and they run a range of different courses and support programmes, as well as the Grant Thornton's Growth Accelerator, Growth Hub and Federation of Small Business. So if I could ask you to return promptly for 11:40, that would be appreciated, as you'll then hear the latest research and insights by the Chartered Institute of Marketing's National Small Business Survey. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed your coffee break and an opportunity to network as well as look at some of the exhibitor stands. Now we've reached the grand moment where I'm going to be introducing you to Steve Woolley, who was actually instrumental in what was originally called Small Business Week by the Chartered Institute of Marketing, of which this event today is the grand finale. There's been events all around the country, and the Chartered Institute of Marketing, previous to that, have done a significant amount of market research within the small business sector, which Steve's going to present to you. But just as a quick mention, as I've had a few questions, all presentations are going to be downloadable, and you'll be emailed a link so you can access those presentations for the whole day. The next event coming up, which some of you may be interested in, particularly after hearing Russ's talk about those who have growth aspirations, is going to be Marketing Expert in a Day, whereas in one day we'll cover all the areas that you need to know about for your business. At Chelmsford on the 17th of June and in Peterborough on the 8th of July. And then we have an annual event which you might want to make a note of on the 9th of July, which is the Digital Marketing Conference, where we'll have digital and social media experts talking about that subject. Please join us on the official CIM LinkedIn community. If you go to LinkedIn and type in CIM East of England, you'll be able to join that LinkedIn group. It's a new one, so some of you may have belonged to the old one, which we actually turned off due to branding issues. In terms of the regions, for the East of England, there is more information about events and other activities on the CIM website. And for those of you who joined at the non-member rate of £75, you get you have 3 months free access to membership. So you can be a member for a 3-month period and access to a number of online resources such as Marketing Expert and other portals. If you have any questions related to that, or you would like to do a trial membership yourself, then please go to the CIM stand where you picked up your badges, and Steve or one of the colleagues will be there to explain that. So Steve has had an interesting background. Spent many years in the civil service, working in Whitehall departments on strategic policy and legislation, and delivering those projects. He's the External Affairs Manager for the Chartered Institute of Marketing, instrumental in this Think Big, Act Small, Small Business Week. And his work focuses now on looking outwards and making links that add value, particularly the emphasis on government and other strategic relationships for the Chartered Institute of Marketing. So if we can put our hands together for Steve. Steve, thank you. Thank you, Steve, and some interesting insights and also some encouragement today because, as it said, only 13% of businesses have marketing specialists, and over 50% of companies, small and medium-sized businesses, but particularly focusing on the micro and small, are seeking expert advice. And you couldn't get better expert advice here today and from one of the world's leading experts who my eyes just gazed upon, Professor Malcolm MacDonald at the back. And so it's great that you've joined us. Thank you, Professor Malcolm MacDonald. But also, I was pleased to be introduced just recently to the Chartered Institute of Marketing's new course director for social media. So I knew he had to be good when I met him. And he's an expert, particularly on the element that's so needed today and may completely revolutionise the way you do your social media in terms of using lead generation within social media, converting, in some respects, likes to leads and leads to customers. And it's with great pleasure that I'd like to introduce Danny Beaumont, who's going to be covering the subject line of how to generate return on investment for your social media. And this is a great opportunity to listen and learn how to grow your small business on this medium. Okay, well, thanks to Danny for those very useful insights. For those who have been working in marketing for a while, we'll be saying to ourselves, hurrah, the integration of social media and digital. That's what we've been saying for such a long time. For many of the small businesses here, you may have heard a different message. Let me just reassure you, as a professional marketer, what you've heard today from Danny is the way to do it. There's few businesses doing it, but you can really achieve a competitive advantage if you follow this advice, and serious return on investment on your ticket price as well. So we're going to be moving to lunch, and as part of lunch, I'd just like to mention 3 exhibitors you might want to visit as a result of Danny's talk. The first one is William Lawrence Advertising, who, as well as doing design and print, do websites and landing pages. Then secondly, Magnet PR. If you're looking for a partner rather than just someone to do some tactical one-off stuff, although they do that anyway, then probably one of the best partners in PR you could have is Magnet PR, who are here today. And if you're looking at doing some marketing automation of the messages that you've seen Danny do, then Commsbox is a good stand to have a chat with as well. So I hope you enjoy your lunch. We'll be returning at 1:30 sharp, please. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a good lunch and feel full and physically as well as intellectually, but there's still some room. We've got an exciting afternoon with some fantastic speakers which, to be honest, we wouldn't normally be able to afford to bring in, but have been very generous and come and supported the Small Business Week. I'd like to, before I introduce the next speaker, I'd like to remind you to do the feedback form, so hopefully you'll be halfway through your feedback form now. And in terms of CPD certificates, if you haven't picked up your blue badge from the CIM registration desk, if you could please make sure you do pick it up if you want a CPD certificate, and then send them out based on that. We had a slight challenge with the registration list first thing this morning. So you will be receiving an email from as well as from the CIM with the links from the University of Hertfordshire, who are our kind host. Normally we do ask if you're okay to receive emails from them. But as they've hosted this evening, they're going to offer an opt-out. So if you do receive an email from the university and are not interested in receiving any further information in terms of free support, free money, and free help to IPO, then feel free to opt out. Let me introduce you to Susanna. Susanna is an expert on user experience design for international markets. She will be available afterwards on the UK TI stand. And we've actually had Susanna present in a number of other places around the country, including Cambridge, who asked if we could ask her to come back and do another one because it was so helpful and informative. Now, the UKTI has an extensive network of expert export marketers and advisors to assist you. And Susanna's specific role is in delivering international business communication advice through tailored advisory sessions, culture, language workshops and masterclasses. So we have a real expert again with us on this whole area of user experience design for international markets. So let's put our hands together for Susanna. So interestingly, the Chartered Institute of Marketing, as I mentioned, are running Small Business Week, with this being the penultimate of the actual grand finale. Well, actually, UK Trade and Investment are running Export Week this week as well, and have done a number of events. And if you go up to the UKTI stand, you'll be able to find out other supports that they're able to give you, such as access to export, along with advice and support that Susanna's already mentioned. It's a great privilege for our next speaker to come back due to great results in terms of customer satisfaction and demand from previous years. He's now been a regular fixture of our small business conference. And Malcolm MacDonald is one of the few people who I've personally met who doesn't just charge a few thousands of pounds a day, it's thousands of pounds an hour. And it's many, many thousands. So we're really privileged that he's actually offered to come in today rather than see one of his corporate clients and speak with us and share his insights. He actually invented marketing planning. Howard Dunton is in the lecture hall. Howard, if you could just wave, I won't ask you to stand. He used to be a lecturer here when I was here, talking about Malcolm MacDonald, and so ever since then we've always looked up to the work that he's done. He was previously chairman of Brand Finance PLC, professor of marketing and deputy director of Cranfield University School of Management, special responsibility for e-business, and he works still currently with companies like IBM, Xerox and BP, but he was never an academic originally. And it should be noted, he was a practitioner who moved into academia, and he used to be the marketing and sales director of Canada Dry. Well, now as he comes forward, I want to be the one to break the news that as a result of his attendance last year and as a result of interest from the audience, he's decided to write a book for the first time on small business marketing, which is going to be published in probably 3 months' time. So look out. Malcolm, thank you. Okay, before we have a break to go to coffee, it's worth saying that over the years, and I've probably spent 20 years in marketing now, and decided to focus on small businesses specifically for the last number of years. Hearing Malcolm speak and the advice of the others, some of you will be sitting there and saying sometimes, as a Chinese proverb says, sometimes it's more important to be reminded than informed. But I've heard Malcolm speak many times, and often, if not every time, I've always been informed. And this advice is absolutely fantastic for any business or consultant to be able to use to help other companies grow. So once again, let's just thank Malcolm for his wisdom. We're going to break for coffee, and as we go outside, I just wanted to let you know a treat that is available to those who are the swiftest and the quickest among us. The next speaker, Bryony, has a best-selling book called Watertight Marketing, which is offering at only £10 instead of 15 or more, the normal price, but she's only got 20 of them. And she's at the exit as you go out. I'd encourage you to pick up one. I've got one, it's very good. Remember to visit Innovate UK. They're another organisation here who can support your small businesses and with grants and advice. And also I'd encourage you to also visit Nimbus web hosting as you go out and enjoy your teas and coffees. See you in 15 minutes. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I hope you enjoyed your coffee break, networking and visiting the exhibitors. Where we are running behind by about 15 minutes, so after speaking to a few people, rather than cutting Bryony's talk short, we're going to continue to 3:45 PM. What an exciting talk that is going to be. I want to let you know that Bryony is the author of a best-selling book, Watertight Marketing. I think there are still a few copies left if anyone wants them, but you'll need cash or cheque for £10. Instead of the normal price of £15. Bryony has worked with large organisations such as Microsoft, Dell, and also the IDM, and was previously divisional director of a FTSE 100 company, Experian. She's developed the Watertight methodology, which is a really good methodology which you can use as a small business, and that's why I'm recommending the book to get some further details. And also you can use it as part of a consultancy process if you're a consultant or agency. So without further ado, if I can pass over to the lady who's going to be talking about love, logic and customer loyalty, Bryony. Thank you very much, Bryony, for another insightful talk. I've only got 5 books left of Bryony's. So if anyone wants the Watertight Marketing book and you've got a £10 cash or cheque that you're able to bring down, they are at the front. And I'll probably ask one of the team, Dawn, maybe you can organise for one of the team to fill out the contact details. Really good book, I've got it myself, so I'd recommend it. On your way out, you're going to get a goodies bag, and in the goodies bag there'll be information from each of the exhibitors and a few freebies as well. I've given you the dates for the next events, you can find them on the CIM website as well. Marketing expert in a day, the local one's going to be Peterborough, and also you've got the digital conference in Cambridge next, I believe it's next. Anyone remind me when the date is for the digital conference?
9th of July.
9th of July, so next month, or 6 weeks, let's say. So thank you very much for coming. We hope you had an enjoyable day. Please finish off the feedback forms. One of the great pieces of feedback I got as I was outside with coffee was someone said that they'd driven from Worcestershire just to be here today, and they were worried whether it was going to be worth it on the journey. But now they decided after being here, just up to Bryony's talk, and so that you're icing on the cake, Bryony, for them, that it was well worth it. And there is genuinely fantastic resources that you've got available to you, not only from Malcolm's slides and the appendices, but from what you've heard within social media and some of the trends to help you move your business forward. So we look forward to seeing you and maybe some of your other growing employees next year. Thank you for your time. Thank you.